Today we'll study the physical features of India. The first question that comes into the mind when we study the physical features of any country, it is how the physical features are formed. In this reference, we have a very famous theory, or the most widely accepted theory, that is the theory of plate tectonics. In this, we first study that the crust, it is made up of 7 plates. The name 7 plates, this is the present situation of the continents and the oceans of the world. Initially, this was not the original position of the continents or the ocean bodies. Initially, we studied that whole of the continents was a united mass or a single land mass which was known as Pangaea. You all might have heard what is Pangaea. Later on, due to the convection process originating within the continent, within the crust of the earth, the forces which led to the stress movements finally led to the disruption of Pangaea into a number of plates, prominent being the 7 plates which you can see on the screen. First being the North American plate. This is the North American plate. Near the Pacific Ocean, we have the Pacific plate. As the name here of the South America, this is the South American plate. Here it is the African plate. This is the Eurasian plate, the present Asia. And comprising India, we have the Indo-Australian plate. This Pacific plate, which you can see over here, it extends up to this part also. So here also, we can write that this is the Pacific plate. And this is the Antarctic plate. The geological past, it is considered that all the continents were in a club form altogether known as the single landmass or the supercontinent, which is known as the Pangaea. And due to the stress motions, it divided into 2 parts, with the northern part known as the Angara land. Angara land, that was the northern part of the Pangaea, or we can say that Pangaea consisted of 2 parts. One is the Angara land, it was to the north, and another was the Gondwana land. It was the southern part of the Pangaea. Roughly, we can study that supposingly this is the whole continental mass clubbed together in a single land mass, and due to the stress motions, it demarcated into 2 parts. So this would be the Angara land, and the northern part would be the Gondwana land. As we are specifically studying the physiography of India, I would like to mention here that Gondwana land, it consisted of India, Australia, South Africa, and South America. Now see, looking back at this map in which we have drawn the 7 plates, one can very easily see that if we have a look at this western part of the Australian boundary, you can easily see that as per the jigsaw puzzle, it can easily fit in the eastern part of the African continent. Similarly, you can see that this eastern part of South America, it can get easily fitted into this group of Western Africa. It is this proof which provides that whole of the continental mass was in a geological past was a single landmass known as the Pangaea. Now specifically looking at the Indian-Australian plate, this was the Indian-Australian plate, one can see it separated from the Gondwana land, and due to the convectional currents, the Indo-Australian plate it drifted to the north. This was our Indo-Australian plate, it drifted to the north from the original position, and this is the present position of the Indo-Australian plate. Now as the Indo-Australian plate drifted to the north, you can see this is the Eurasian plate. Naturally it collided with the Eurasian plate. Is it clear? The Indo-Australian plate, when it collided with this Eurasian plate, the collision led to the upheaving of the Tethys Sea. Now initially where we have the present Himalayas, this was the position of the Tethys Sea. Tethys Sea has had the sediments deposited both from the southern part and the northern part of the Pangaea. Now as the Indo-Australian plate it was moving towards the Eurasian plate, the sediments of the Tethys Sea, they were finally uplifted, or we can say the upheaval of the. Over a period of time, we can see that the Tethys Sea, because of the colliding forces, over a period of time due to the collision of the Eurasian plate and the Indo-Australian plate, the sediments of the Tethys Sea, they were uplifted, or the upheaval of the Tethys Sea led to the formation of the present Himalayas. There are many scientific proofs or evidences which confirm that Himalayas were originally a part of a sea known as the Tethys. Now, in detail, we'll study what are the features of the northern plains. But according to the geological formation of the northern plains, we can study that when the Indo-Eurasian plate was moving towards the Eurasian plate, Indo-Australian plate was moving towards the Eurasian plate, and the Eurasian plate was also facing the collision movements